everyone, Tam's here. I've got a special treat today for you. We're going to talk about fountain pens. I have been interested in fountain pens for a little over a year now. I first got into them because several of my pen pals were writing me beautiful letters with gorgeous inks and penmanship, and that's what really started it all. Now, I have to admit, I was a little intimidated at first, and if you have noticed in a lot of my journaling videos, I do tend to use very inexpensive fountain pens, and there's a reason for that. I wanted to make sure that I understood how to take a fountain pen apart, clean it, use a converter versus a cartridge. I didn't know if I would be able to keep up with the fountain pens, or if I lost one, I didn't want it to be a huge expensive loss. So I did spend this past year working with Pilot Metropolitans and the Lamy Safari. That's mostly what I have used this year. Now, I have someone in my life that I refer to as the fountain pen sensei. She's a friend and fellow letter writer, and she has been guiding me along. And I'm pretty much ready to move on to the next step and spend a little more money on a fountain pen. Not a lot of money. Some of these fountain pens cost a lot of money, but I'm ready to have a nicer pen. And I was able to spend the day with her this past weekend, and she offered to let me video her and share answers to a lot of my questions so that you guys could maybe get more information on fountain pens if you're interested. So my fountain pen sensei is actually Legally Inked on Instagram. I will link her account below. Be sure to check her out. And hopefully you will get as much out of this as I did. This will probably be a two-part video because it is pretty lengthy. So enjoy. What was your very first fountain pen?
Waterman Hemisphere, and this is the actual pen.
Okay.
I've never gotten rid of it.
So what first got you started into fountain pens?
I had been using any kind of rollerball, ballpoint, any kind of pen that I could find, and nothing was quite right. I don't know how else to explain it. So I splurged and bought the Hemisphere, and it was like the skies opened and the sun shone through, and I knew that it was a fountain pen that I needed to be using. So.
Awesome. What was the most current fountain pen you purchased?
So I went to the Philadelphia Pen Show in January, and I actually had the opportunity to pick up a Franklin Christoph Model 40 Panther. They only made 3 of these for the Philly Pen Show, so 2 friends of mine and I bought these. And then I also picked up another Franklin Christoph, a Model 03. And this is kind of an orange color. I think they call it amber, with the cinnamon top. And it's, of course, eyedroppered with their signature Franklin green ink from the show. And then I actually splurged, really splurged, and I bought my very first Omas. So I do love Italian pens, and I have a lot of Visconti, but I don't have any Omas. And so I did actually buy, this is an Art Vision, they call it liquid green, and it has ruthenium trim, including on the 18 karat nib, which is also plated with ruthenium. So
what is actually your favorite fountain pen, or can you even say that you have a favorite fountain pen?
Yes, even though I have a ton of fountain pens, that is never a hard question. This is what they call a blue ripple, and it's made by Visconti. It was made many years ago, and there's only 999 of them, which sounds like a lot, but when time passes it can be harder and harder to find them. And I found this on eBay a few years ago. It's a very big, very heavy pen, but it is beautifully balanced and beautifully designed, has an ink window, and one of their fantastic 18 karat nibs, which they don't make anymore. So this is by far my very favorite pen.
So if someone is just getting started into fountain pens, and let's say they have a very limited budget, because fountain pens can be very intimidating and very expensive. Let's say they have $100 as a budget. Where would you tell them to start in the fountain pen world?
So with a budget of $100, I think you can't go wrong with a line of pens called Lamy, Lamy. Those are extremely popular. They come in these incredibly bright, vibrant colors. The material is extremely durable, so you don't have to worry maybe about having a fancy case at first. The nibs are all steel, but you can buy nibs that you can interchange and swap, so you can buy a single pen and multiple nibs for less than $100. And like I say, there's tons of colors to choose from, and they come out with special edition colors, and so it's kind of a fun pen. I don't own any Lamys. It doesn't suit my style, but I do have a TWSBI, TWSBI, and it's the name of the company that makes the pen. These usually run about $55 to $60. And they come out with some pretty fabulous colors. They make pocket versions which are much smaller. This is a 580 AL Diamond, and I actually have a green one on the way. And these have a steel nib. It's pretty basic, but right out of the box, this is a stub, and it has written beautifully from day one. I haven't had any trouble with it. And the other nice thing about TWSBI is that their customer service is outstanding. They've been known to have some cracking issues in their materials in the section and other places. You email the company, they send you the new parts, and sometimes they send you just a whole new pen. So for me, customer service is of paramount importance when you're getting into something new like this, so you don't get frustrated and then just stop using it because there's a problem.
Okay. How do you go about buying a fountain pen? Do you go online? Do you go to a store? Do you go to a show?
So where I live currently in Florida, there is no brick and mortar place for me to go and browse lovely pens and buy them, and that has been a huge frustration. It's a frustration actually for a lot of people. So there are online vendors that I use regularly. I shop a great deal with Anderson Pens up in Appleton, Wisconsin, and he actually supplies me with a lot of the Viscontis now. But they have a huge ink selection, a huge paper selection, and they're very nice to deal with. If there's something you don't understand on their website or you can't find, you can call them and ask them. They're wonderful. And if you're in Appleton, Wisconsin, go see their store. There's Fountain Pen Hospital, which is in New York City, Bertram's Inkwell in Maryland, and Farney's in Washington, D.C. are all places that I've shopped with online. I trust them, and I've gotten good products from them. So I know shopping online is not for everybody, and with a pen, you kind of want to touch it and feel it, and this is where the pen shows come in. There are pen shows all over the country, all throughout the whole entire year. I would encourage you to go anytime that you can. In fact, the Atlanta Pen Show is coming up in April, and in Atlanta, Georgia, and if you just Google that, you will pop up and you will find all kinds of great information about the Atlanta Pen Show. Pen shows are great because the vendors come to you. They have tables set up, they bring paper, they bring pens, ink, anything that you can possibly think of, and you can talk to them about their product, you can touch the product. In some cases, you can actually dip and try the pens, or they can certainly explain the virtues of the pens to you. And you can get vintage pens if you like older things, and sometimes they're less expensive. Sometimes the nibs are a lot better because they just don't make things like they used to. So if you like flexi nibs, so you can do fancier writing, sometimes the vintage pens are better, and a pen show is a great place to have a good mix of modern and vintage, and then the opportunity to look at inks up close and see color samples and meet with other people. That's probably the most important thing to me about the pen shows, is you meet other people who enjoy the same things, and you can learn so much just hanging out or having lunch with a group of people who bring out their pen cases and share their stories about their pens and their inks and their papers. So definitely encourage you to start looking for pen shows. So far this year you've had the Philadelphia Pen Show, the Long Island Pen Show, and then the Atlanta one's coming up, and I know I'm missing one. I think Baltimore Pen Show has happened. The Washington, D.C. Super Pen Show is the largest in the country. I think it's the largest pen show in the world, and that is always held in the first full week of August, I believe. And so those dates have been confirmed for this year. San Francisco, Los Angeles, Chicago, Columbus, Denver, Miami, Dallas, and I'm sure I'm forgetting some. Raleigh, North Carolina has one. Little Rock has one that's growing. And yeah, I'm sure that I didn't catch them all. But if you start looking for them, you might be able to find one near you, near enough to drive anyway. I tend to fly to, I've been to quite a few, but I tend to have to fly. Other than Miami, which is the closest one to me. So so there's definitely, if you don't have a pen store near you with a merchant that you can talk to and a place where you can touch the pens, I encourage you to go to a pen show and take advantage of that opportunity.
So I hope you enjoyed part 1 of this fountain pen discussion with At Legally Inked. I found it very helpful, and I will be actually purchasing my first fountain pen hopefully at the upcoming Atlanta Pen Show. I'll be going to that. If you're going to be there, please let me know. Maybe we can have a meetup. But I will be there actually teaching a mail art workshop. So if you are attending the Atlanta Fountain Pen Show, I hope you'll join me for making some mail and sending some letters. So stay tuned for part 2 of this fountain pen discussion with At Legally Inked.